Hello everybody, and welcome once again to the Church of the Most High. This is Nickelbag speaking on this Saturday, February 28th, 2026. And we are broadcasting to you live, bringing you the scripture raw and uncut. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to begin our prayer like we always do with the book of Proverbs. And we are, because of the short month, we're going to read 28, 29, 30, and 31 here today. There are 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs, 31 days in a typical month. So we read a chapter a day, and at the end of a month, we are much wiser, much more informed, much closer to our Lord and Creator, and more understanding of Him, and just more content with everything at the end of it, head above the crowd. So, Lord, I do ask everybody listening here has their mind open and their hearts open and is able to learn and get closer to you and is blessed by this. So let's get to it. In the name of JEHOVAH ALLAH, most gracious, most merciful. The book of the Proverbs of the Kings of Israel, chapter 28. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. For the transgression of a land many are the princes thereof, but by a man of understanding and knowledge the state thereof shall be prolonged. A poor man that oppresses the poor is like a sweeping rain which leaveth no food. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek JEHOVAH ALLAH understand all things. Better is the poor that walketh in his uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son, but he that is a companion of riotous men shameth his father. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination. Whoso causeth the righteous to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself into his own pit, but the upright shall have good things in possession. The rich man is wise in his own conceit, but the poor that hath understanding searcheth him out. When righteous men do rejoice, there is great glory, but when the wicked rise, a man is hidden. He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. Happy is the man that feareth always, but he that hardeneth his heart shall fall into mischief. As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. The prince that lacks understanding is also a great oppressor, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. A man that doeth violence to the blood of any person shall flee to the pit. Let no man stay him. Whoso walketh uprightly shall be saved, but he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once. He that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain persons shall have poverty enough. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. To have respect of persons is not good, for a piece of bread that man will transgress. He that hasteth to be rich hath an evil eye, and considereth not that poverty shall come upon him. He that rebuketh a man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flattereth with the tongue. Whoso robbeth his father or his mother, and saith, It is no transgression, the same is the companion of a destroyer. He that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife, but he that putteth his trust in Allah YAHWEH shall be made fat. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. When the wicked rise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. Chapter 29. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. The king by judgment establisheth the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth it. A man that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth a net for his feet. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous doth sing and rejoice. The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. Scornful men bring a city into a snare, but wise men turn away wrath. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. The bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it until afterwards. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. The poor and the deceitful man meet together. JEHOVAH ALLAH lighteneth both their eyes. The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul. Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at the length. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Whoso is partner with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing, and bewrayeth it not. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in JEHOVAH ALLAH shall be safe. Many seek the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from JEHOVAH ALLAH. An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked. Chapter 30. The words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, even the prophecy. The man spake unto Ithiel, even unto Ithiel and Ukal. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learned wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fists? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? Every word of Allah is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. Two things have I required of thee, Deny me them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee, and say, Who is Jehovah? Or lest I be poor and steal, and take the name of my God in vain. Accuse not a servant unto his master, lest he curse thee, and thou be found guilty. There is a race that curses their father, and does not bless their mother. There is a race that is pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness. There is a race, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a race whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men. The horse leech has 2 daughters, crying, Give, give. There are 3 things that are never satisfied. Yea, 4 things say not, It is enough. The grave and the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and the fire that saith not, It is enough. The eye that mocketh at his father, and despiseth to obey his mother, the ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young eagles shall eat it. There be 3 things which are too wonderful for me, yea, 4 which I know not. The way of an eagle in the air, the way of a serpent upon a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth, and saith, I have done no wickedness. For 3 things the earth is disquieted, and for 4 which it cannot bear. A servant when he reigneth, and a fool when he is full of stool. For an odious woman when she is married, and an handmaid that is heir to her mistress. There be 4 things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies are but a feeble folk, yet make they their houses in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet go they forth all of them by bands. The spider taketh hold with her hands, and is in kings' palaces. There be 3 things which go well, yea, 4 are comely in going. A lion, which is strongest among beasts, and turneth not away for any. A greyhound, an he-goat also, and a king against whom there is no rising up. If thou hast done foolishly in lifting up thyself, or if thou hast thought evil, lay thine hand upon thy mouth. Surely the churning of milk bringeth forth butter, and the wringing of the nose bringeth forth blood. So the forcing of wrath bringeth forth strife. Chapter 31. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. What, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink, and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself covering of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up, and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth Yahweh, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. And once again, that was the book of Proverbs, chapters 28 through 31. And so we are going to get into the next book here. The next reading is always from the book of Psalms. We read at it, if you haven't picked it up yet, we read from the Authorized King James Version of the Bible. That's the Old English. I recommend, if you have a little trouble understanding the Old English, as many do, I know I certainly did when I started picking this up, get one of the many new English translations, the modern English translations, and compare them line by line, side by side, until you get the feel for how the Old English reads and what some of these words mean and how the sentences are arranged. And then make the switch to the Old English, because it's just a better product. All the reference materials, the best reference materials, are based on the Old English, and the definitions, the translation is just closer to the original Hebrew and what the author was trying to say, than it is in the modern English. But let's get to the book of Psalms. I do also want to say that this order of reading was definitely put in play a few years ago, and it progresses every 26, 27, 28, and then yesterday was Psalms 21, today's Psalms 22, and tomorrow it'll be Psalms 23, and so on and so forth with the rest of the readings. I say that because oftentimes these readings reflect one another as you go through them, and it's kind of miraculous. I'm not really smart enough to plan this all out 2 years in advance and start it rolling. It's just the way the Lord had it planned and the way it fell out. So it oftentimes reflects current events in the news and what's going on internationally when you read a passage here today, and then all of a sudden you see something similar on the news. There's been instances where there's been the description of how to throw a good party, and just a few weeks ago, Friday and Saturday, the reading talked about how to throw a party, and then on Sunday it was Super Bowl. So if you was following along, you probably threw a hell of a Super Bowl party on Sunday. Um, but that said, let's get into the reading here. In the name of JEHOVAH ALLAH, most gracious, most merciful. The book of Psalms, Psalm 22. To the chief musician upon Ajaleth Shahar, a psalm of David. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me, and from the words of my roaring? O my God, I cry in the daytime, but thou hearest not, and in the night season, and am not silent. But thou art holy, O thou that inhabitest the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried unto thee, and were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded. But I am a worm, and no man, a reproach of men, and despised of the people. All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip, they shake the head, saying, He trusted on Jehovah that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. They gaped upon me with their mouths, as a ravening and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaws. And thou hast brought me into the dust of death. For dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. I may tell all my bones. They look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them, and cast lots upon my vesture. But be not thou far from me, O Yahweh. O my strength, haste thee to help me. Deliver my soul from the sword, my darling from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the unicorns. I will declare thy name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise thee. Ye that fear Yahweh, praise him. All ye the seed of Jacob, glorify him, and fear him, all ye the seed of Israel. For he hath not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither hath he hid his face from him, but when he cried unto him, he heard. My praise shall be of thee in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear him. The meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise Jehovah that seek him. Your heart shall live forever. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto Yahweh, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is JEHOVAH Allah's, and he is the governor among the nations. All they that be fat upon earth shall eat and worship. All they that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none can keep alive his own soul. A seed shall serve him, it shall be accounted to the Lord for a generation. They shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born, that he hath done this. And once again, that was the book of Psalms, Psalm number 22. I wanted to make note on a few things here. I don't judge anybody, but the facts are the facts. This word dogs here doesn't typically mean canine. In the King James Version of the Bible and in the Hebrew, dog was a metaphor or a nickname for a homosexual. In fact, the type of homosexual who is a prostitute, a temple prostitute, male temple prostitutes. It's ritualistic gay sex. Let me let me tell you what it is to be a dog. It means you're the prostitute in ritualistic gay sex. And so, David is being harassed by homosexual man whores here. And there's also this word unicorn isn't about a mystical, magical creature. It's about like animals that we know of who've had a horn fallen off. Deers with one set of antler. Uh, Rams where their horn is fallen off. Rhinoceroses even. They got one horn. So that's what it means. Not mystical, magical horses that travel on rainbows with homosexual male prostitutes. I'm sorry, gay friends. I don't mean to bust balls, but that's just what this is. So that said, let's get into the next book here. Our next reading is from the Quran. We read out of the New Translation of the Quran by M.A.S. Abdul Halim. It's from Oxford Press. I don't get paid money for saying that. I just believe it is the most correct version of the Quran we have in English. The Quran is typically written in poetical form in columns. It's very beautiful when heard recited, but when translated into English and kept in that column format, it is like not so beautiful. It's choppy. It's hard to follow the subject. It's difficult to understand, and for an English reader, that does them no good at all. It doesn't do anybody any good to listen to a song in a language you don't understand. So this gentleman took the time to translate it, put it in paragraph format like the rest of the Bible, so an English reader could understand it and get the message, which is the most important part. Getting the message, heeding the warnings, and becoming closer to God for it. So, without any further explanation, in the name of Jehovah Allah, most gracious, most merciful. The Quran, Surah number 96, Al-Alaq. Read, in the name of your Lord who created. He created man from a clinging form. Read, your Lord is the most bountiful one who taught by the pen, who taught man what he did not know. But man exceeds all bounds when he thinks he is self-sufficient. Friends, all will return to our Lord. Have you noticed the man who forbids our servant to pray? Have you noticed whether he is rightly guided or encourages true piety? Have you noticed if he denies the truth and turns away from it? Does he not realize that Jehovah sees all? Now, if he does not stop, we shall drag him by his forehead, his lying, sinful forehead. Let him summon his comrades. We shall summon the guards of hell. No, do not obey him, friends. Bow down and worship and draw close. And once again, that was the Quran, Surah number 96. Pretty clear to understand that message. There are some hypocrites out there that will try to prevent you from praying in school, at work, all kinds of places. And usually those people aren't rightly guided at all. It's a matter of time till they screw up and prove how unguided they are. So that was Surah 96. Our fourth reading today is from the book of Lamentations. Lamentations was written by Jeremiah the prophet. He wrote this book. It's a sad song. I compared it yesterday to one of the country music songs that we hear, where the gentleman singing the song, his wife left him, his dog died, his tractor broke down, and he's at a chewing tobacco, and the whiskey went dry, and he's just having a terrible time. It's kind of what this book of Lamentations is, except it's about the city of Jerusalem. In these days, the city of Jerusalem was attacked and destroyed. It was the punishment that God put on the people for disobeying him and neglecting him and straying away from him. But that didn't negate the fact that people who loved the Lord and who loved the city were sad about it. Even though they seen it coming, even though they warned the citizens to tighten up their acts and that this would happen, they weren't happy when it did. And so Jeremiah wrote a song about it, a poem song. So let's get into it. In the name of Jehovah Allah, most gracious, most merciful, the book of the Lamentations of Jeremiah the prophet, chapter 2. How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. The Lord hath swallowed up all the habitations of Jacob, and hath not pitied. He hath thrown down in his wrath the strongholds of the daughter of Judah. He hath brought them down to the ground. He hath polluted the kingdom and the princes thereof. He hath cut off in his fierce anger all the horn of Israel. He hath drawn back his right hand from before the enemy, and he burned against Jacob like a flaming fire. He hath cut off in his fierce anger all the horn of Israel. He hath drawn back his right hand from before the enemy, and he hath burned against Jacob like a flaming fire, which devoureth round about. He hath bent his bow like an enemy. He stood with his right hand as an adversary, and slew all that were pleasant to the eye in the tabernacle of the daughter of Zion. He poured out his fury like fire. Jehovah was an enemy. He hath swallowed up Israel. He hath swallowed up all her palaces. He hath destroyed his strongholds, and hath increased in the daughter of Judah mourning and lamentation. And he hath violently taken away his tabernacle, as if it were of a garden. He hath destroyed his places of the assembly. Jehovah hath caused the solemn feasts and Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion, and hath despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest. The Lord hath cast off his altar. He hath abhorred his sanctuary. He hath given up into the hand of the enemy the walls of her palaces. They have made a noise in the house of Jehovah, as in the day of a solemn feast. Allah Yahweh hath purposed to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion. He hath stretched out a line. He hath not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore he made the rampart and the wall to lament. They languished together. Her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed and broken her bars. The king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from the Lord. The elders of the daughter of Zion sit upon the ground and keep silence. They have cast up dust upon their heads. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. The virgins of Jerusalem hang down their heads to the ground. Mine eyes do fail with tears. My bowels are troubled. My liver is poured upon the earth, for the destruction of the daughter of my people, because the children and the sucklings swoon in the streets of the city. They say to their mothers, Where is corn and wine? When they swooned as the wounded in the streets of the city, when their soul was poured out into their mother's bosom. What thing shall I take to witness for thee? What thing shall I liken to thee, O daughter of Jerusalem? What shall I equal to thee that may comfort thee, O virgin daughter of Zion? For thy breach is great like the sea. Who can heal thee? The prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, and they have not discovered thine iniquity, to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city that men called the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, We have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we looked for. We have found, we have seen it. Jehovah Allah hath done that which he had devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down and hath not pitied, and he hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. Their heart cried unto the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears run down like a river day and night. Give thyself no rest. Let not the apple of thine eye cease. Arise, cry out in the night. In the beginning of the watches, pour out thine heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hands toward him for the life of thy young children, that faint for hunger in the top of every street. Behold, O Yahweh, and consider to whom thou hast done this. Shall the women eat their fruit, and children of a span long? Shall the priest and the prophet be slain in the sanctuary of the Lord? The young and the old lie on the ground in the streets. My virgins and my young men are fallen by the sword. Thou hast slain them in the day of thine anger. Thou hast killed and not pitied. Thou hast called, as in a solemn day, my terrors round about, so that in the day of Jehovah's anger none escaped nor remained. Those that I have swaddled and brought up hath mine enemy consumed. And once again, that was the book of the Lamentations of the prophet Jeremiah. Again, that was over the destruction of Jerusalem and its besiegement. A lot of sad things happen in there. War does things like that. Poverty. I mean, talking about women eating their own babies because they're hungry. It's a sad state. But I do want to make note of this: the prophets have not discovered thine iniquity, and have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment. It's kind of like what's happening here in our country. You got every would-be political hack telling everybody what the problem is: immigration, insurance, you name it. But what they don't ever really mention is the problem of our woes is the pedophilia run rampant throughout our society, pervading all aspects of it. I guess it's time to give the warning for today. There is a massive super volcano underneath the west coast of our country, underneath Yellowstone National Park. This is scientific fact. Super volcano is a scientific term. Every year, this super volcano rises up about 3 inches more the continent because of the pressure mounting underneath of it. Scientists estimate that it's over 100 years due to erupt, meaning it should have erupted 100 years ago and still has not. And because it has not, the pressure keeps mounting and surmounting and building up and building up. And like I said, every year the ground rises about 3 inches above sea level. One day that will pop. There is no science, there is no technology that will stop this, that'll prevent this. That'll negate the damages even. The only force that's going to stop it is JEHOVAH ALLAH. He's not going to send Jesus to help us. He's not going to help us at all unless we begin to help our children in a very serious way. I just seen some news article that the state of Florida has reenacted the death penalty for child molesters. It's a good start, but it's not enough. Because 5 minutes later, I read another article that talked about how it was some kind of step up on the evolutionary ladder when they decided to take away the death penalty for child molesters that didn't end in death. A child assault that didn't end in death, they weren't going to give the molester the death penalty. And they claimed that was a step up on the evolutionary ladder. Well, let me tell these judges something. If you don't understand the necessity for the death penalty for a child molester, even though the child didn't die, then your judgment is clouded. I think we need to rip open all your holes mercilessly and let you bleed out for a while. Maybe your judgment will become a little bit clearer then. Let me say that again. If you don't understand the need for the death penalty for people who rape children, maybe your holes need to be ripped open mercilessly and bled out for a while until your judgment clears up a little better. If we don't stop this, if we don't clear this up, if our government does not take swift, decisive action, that volcano will destroy this nation and begin to take the rest of the world with it. Mark my words. You've been warned again plainly. Our final reading is from the book of the Gospel according to St. Luke. We are in chapter 4. And St. Luke is the third Gospel in the New Testament, the third book of the New Testament. We had the story of John the Baptist in chapter 1. We had the birth of Jesus in chapter 2. We had the beginning of John the Baptist's ministry in chapter 3 and the baptism of Jesus, followed by the pedigree of Jesus and, or in the biblical term, generation. This term that we read, generation, more often than not, I want to say 99% of the time when you read the Old English and the word generation appears, they're not talking about an era of history. They're talking about your pedigree, your race, your nationality. That's your generation. That's where the word genes and genetics stems from. It's not about, again, an era in history like the hippie generation or Generation X being born from this time to that time. No, it's about your pedigree, your genetics. And what we had at the end of chapter 3 was the pedigree of Jesus, his genealogy. So that said, we're going to begin chapter 4 here, and let's get to it. In the name of JEHOVAH ALLAH, most gracious, most merciful. The book of the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 4. And Jesus, being full of the Holy Ghost, returned from Jordan, and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. And in those days he did eat nothing. And when they were ended, he afterward hungered. And the devil said unto him, If thou be the Son of Allah, command this stone that it be made bread. And Jesus answered him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of Allah. And the devil, taking him up into an high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, All this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will I give it. If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship JEHOVAH ALLAH, and him only shalt thou serve. And he brought him to Jerusalem, and set him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of Allah, cast thyself down from hence. For it is written, He shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee. And in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. And Jesus answering said unto him, It is said, Thou shalt not tempt JEHOVAH ALLAH. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and stood up for to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, The Spirit of Jehovah is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. And he closed the book, and gave it again to the minister, and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him. And he began to say unto them, This day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears. And all bare him witness, and wondered at the gracious words which proceeded out of his mouth. And they said, Is not this Joseph's son? And he said unto them, Ye will surely say unto me this proverb, Physician, heal thyself. Whatsoever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in thy country. And he said, Verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout all the land. But unto none of them was Elias sent, save unto Sarepta, a city of Sidon, unto a woman that was a widow. And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Eliseus the prophet, and none of them was cleansed, saving Naaman the Syrian. And they all in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath, and rose up, and thrust him out of the city, and led him unto the brow of the hill whereon the city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. But he, passing through the midst of them, went his way, and came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and taught them on the Sabbath days. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. And in the synagogue there was a man which had a spirit of an unclean devil, and cried out with a loud voice, saying, Let us alone! What have we to do with thee, thou Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of Allah. And Jesus rebuked him, saying, Hold thy peace and come out of him. And when the devil had thrown him in the midst, he came out of him and hurt him not. And they were all amazed, and spake among themselves, saying, What a word is this! For with authority and power he commandeth the unclean spirits, and they come out. And the fame of him went out into every place of the country round about. And he arose out of the synagogue, and entered into Simon's house. And Simon's wife's mother was taken with a great fever, and they besought him for her. And he stood over her, and rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she arose, and ministered unto them. Now, when the sun was setting, all they that had any sick with divers diseases brought them unto him, and he laid his hands on every one of them, and healed them. And devils also came out of many, crying out, and saying, Thou art Christ, the Son of God. And he, rebuking them, suffered them not to speak, for they knew that he was Christ. And when it was day, he departed, and went into a desert place, and the people sought him, and came unto him, and stayed him, that they should not depart from them. And he said unto them, I must preach the kingdom of Allah to other cities also, for therefore am I sent. And he preached in the synagogues of Galilee. And once again, that was the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 4. And that concludes the broadcast for today. We are going to just close it down with the blessing here. I pray that everybody who watched was blessed by it, and just is blessed by it and a little bit more closer to the Lord. I already gave the warning. I don't feel like saying it again. Clean up the pedophiles, or that volcano will be destroyed. That volcano will destroy us all. Let me give you the blessing, and we can go about our day. Allah Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. JEHOVAH ALLAH cause his face to shine upon thee and be gracious toward thee. HASHEM lift up the countenance upon thee and give you peace. Assalamualaikum. Shalom. Naranja Aranos. God bless you all.